Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we have a very special player interview. We're going to be talking to LorcanaJustice, who we've referenced a few times on the channel before. He played in DLC Bologna, made day 2, and I sent out a tweet after watching one of his feature matches on day 1, which said, honestly, it's the most impressed I've been at a list for a specific meta since I started my Lorcana career, and I stand by each and every word. Justice ran Emerald Amethyst, a Blurple Slayer. So I was very keen to sit down and have a chat with Justice. We talk about an introduction to him, his history of TCGs and Lorcana so far, but the main event, the emphasis, is the creation of this Emerald Amethyst deck and then talking about his run in DLC Bologna. This is actually one of my favourite interviews I've ever done. I do hope you stick around to the end. We do some Glimmer Island. But overall, it's just a really interesting and informative chat, especially if you're looking to try out this Emerald Amethyst list. I want to get into it, but a couple of things before we do. This is the first piece of content I'm doing since getting back from Bologna. I got super sick, and I know I always say, oh, I get very run down after an event. I'm always shattered, which is the case. I was sick this time. It might have been COVID. I think it was. Tests were inconclusive. But it's basically the worst I've felt in years, and I'm not the only one. A lot of people I know that really got sick from returning from Bologna. And this hit me like a truck, so that's why it's been so long since I've uploaded any content. I still want to do the top 16 deck lists for Bologna, which I'll be very late to, but of course I'm going to do them. Expect that video within 24 to 48 hours after this one. Also, I will mention now, I am doing Set Championship Showcase this set, and I'm accepting submissions from anyone that makes top 8. When this video goes live, I'll make a community post detailing how you can submit your list to me. But for now, let's get into the interview. A shout out to the channel sponsor, Cardmarket. If you're looking for Lorcana singles at competitive rates, then check out Cardmarket. Let's have a chat with Justice. And as promised, we have the very semblance, the very being, the very definition of Justice. We are joined by someone that you may recognize if you were paying attention to DLC Bologna, a man who had the Lorcana community raving about him from the end of day 1, a feature match and the backup feature match at that, to see this man go head to head fighting for that day 2 with some Emerald Amethyst. And I'd been plugging this and teasing this throughout the day, Justice. I don't know if you've gone back and watched the entire stream. Yeah, I'm sure you've rewatched the match that you played. Don't know if you watched the whole thing, but that when you came over to me at the beginning of the day and you were like, this is what I'm playing, keep an eye, and I was like, yep, keep you updated with your score. Like, from that moment, I was plugging it. I didn't say your name, but I literally said, I got on camera and I was like, yo, someone just came up to me, showed me a green-purple list over the Kuzco. Cal was very excited about that. So I was laying the seeds already from that moment, so I was so glad we were able to pay that off and get you on camera. So yeah, I want to say a huge congratulations to you. It's very overdue getting you on the channel. People that like spend much time in Lorcana Twitter, I'm sure, have seen the data that you collect consistently throughout Lorcana sets. I know you've been playing the game for a long time, but I don't want to talk about it. I want to hear you talk all about it. The main event of today will be discussing your deck list and your run in Bologna, but for the people that might not know you very well yet, I'd love to do a little get to know section. So I want to start off with, what is your history of TCGs overall? Is Lorcana your first? And then talk to us about you getting into Lorcana, the how, the when, and the why. And then a little bit about your Lorcana experience in Season 1.
Yep. Well, I mean, first off, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Phenomenal stuff there. And I guess I'll come back to the Bologna stuff. That was a fun story from that. I literally ran up to you as soon as I saw you on Starter Day 1. I was like, look what I'm playing. But I got a long history of card games. I started playing like Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a child, you know, some Pokemon as well. And then when I was 11 years old, I moved to the UK, and there was basically like no LGS anywhere near me. So when I got here, I basically did not get to play any TCGs when I was like a teenager at all. And it was when I went to university, I spotted in the sort of like student clubs section, they had like an anime/Yu-Gi-Oh club. I guess the Yu-Gi-Oh guys were just like informally a part of the anime society. So I got to go to university, I got to start playing card games, and during my time at uni, I traveled to Europe. I attended the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of DLCs. Did their whole regional circuit. That's like their set champs, but sort of spaced out across the year to get qualifications for their continental championships. It's a really nice system. Hopefully it's kind of like our CCQs now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to then start doing like the international TCG circuit then in like my late teens and early 20s. And I really enjoyed that, right? Getting to travel, getting to meet people, getting to play all the time. But I didn't necessarily see like too much competitive success at that time. I won some regionals every now and then. I competed in some DLCs and Euros, but like I was never really a day 2 player at any of that point. And I always loved playing, but I never really felt like I reached my potential there.
Mm-hmm.
And then after graduating and moving out of university, then I kind of had another lull where it was hard to find trading card people to play in real life. All of my friends who were at uni were like halfway across the country now. And I went through a spurt of playing some digital card games. Obviously, I've played some Hearthstone over my years. I played Runeterra when that came out. Hit Masters in the beta season for that. That was actually a lot of fun. And then played a lot of TFT in the kind of years between that and starting Lorcana. Not actually a TCG, but very much like TCG adjacent.
I was going to say, that's a new one. Most of the things you've mentioned, I've at least heard of, or someone's mentioned in an interview. You're gonna have to fill me on that one.
It's an auto battler. It involves like, drawing cards from a deck and deciding if you want to buy them or not, and then deciding if you want to like keep spending or hold what you've got and acquire more resources. So not a TCG, but I think there's a lot of crossover.
Similar fundamentals.
Yeah, but it was about a year ago. I didn't actually start playing Lorcana from the start, but one of my longtime old Yu-Gi-Oh friends, Ben, started working for Ravensburger. Like right before the game came out, and told us at the time, he's like, hey, you guys should like, Lorcana's coming out. You should get into Lorcana. It's going to be really good. Trust me. And we were like, yeah, all right. I'm sure. Disney card game. We'll see how it goes. And so I didn't start playing for like the first year. But then my best friend, who I went to uni with and played Yu-Gi-Oh with about a year ago, it was like start of set 4, basically sent me a message like, hey, I finally checked out Lorcana. It's pretty good. They've just had like the Stitch set champs. Those Stitches are worth like a lot of money. I want to get really good at this game, and I don't have anyone to do it with, but I know I can get you interested in doing it as well. So like, come check it out. And that was kind of, I guess, like the start of all of this. I started playing Steel. I booked like a last minute trip to DLC Bologna last year as my first sort of big event for the thing. I don't know if I'd even done like any set champs yet, based on when the timing for that fit in. And I was just really enjoying the game. And I was like, yeah, I want to get really good at this game. I feel like there's a thing there. There's so much like history of TCG that has not necessarily been translated to this game yet. And so it really felt like there was an opportunity to come and start exploring some of that, trying to interpret some of that within the context of Lorcana, right? Translate it, share it to people, get involved. And from there, just had like a takeoff last part of the run for season 1. So Bologna, Birmingham, it's on my doorstep. That was wonderful. Into Continentals, I managed to go through the CCQ gauntlets in the afternoon and then played in the European Continentals. Really great, really humbling experience. I drew 6 times and lost my final round. Hardest like room of card game players I've ever been in, which was phenomenal for just reminding me that it's like there's still more work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then DLC season 2, we were like, all right, we're gonna go to all of them. We're gonna like try really hard this year. And then there was, I guess, a lot less DLCs this year than we were expecting, or at least they started a lot later than we were expecting. If you remember, like when they announced, we had the whole like World's venue.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up. If you didn't, I was gonna.
So, like the details leaked. Me and Bun, we were ready. We had flights and accommodation booked within like an hour, and it's like 8 p.m. that evening. They get on the Lorcast.
And just to clarify,
like,
these are the leaks of World's Days. Hadn't been confirmed yet.
And so we booked everything. And we were like, great, we're going to Worlds. We're going to play in the Worlds LCQ, whatever it is. Like, we're going to go do the experience.
Side events,
and they hopped on. 8 o'clock that evening, they get on. And they're like, guys, don't come to Worlds. You're not allowed to come to Worlds. There's nothing for you to do there. And so we had to like 180, cancel everything. We got lucky. The flights had like a 24-hour cancel window. The Airbnb we got was cancelable. And so in the span of like 12 hours, we went from like, we're going to Worlds to, no, we're not. And had to, it felt a great test of our preparedness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, full marks instantly. For that.
Yep. And, that I guess that carried over to Bologna and to Milwaukee. I got tickets for that. We're going to that. And, have had a string of other competitive successes in the sort of passing parts of this year while we've been waiting for this DLC season to start. Mm-hmm. I came top 16 at UK Games Expo on Blue Steel. I came top 8 at the most recent Axion event on Green Purple Tempo. And then most recently, I made day 2 at Bologna playing Green Purple Control.
Yeah, the Worlds thing, just to go back to that for a second, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but like, obviously I knew before for obvious reasons, and there were others that knew. Then the next morning, when we all saw, well, for my time anyway, well, your time as well, when we all saw, oh, these are out, I put out a tweet just saying, I think it was a picture from me at the Ravensburger in Germany, where I posed next to a big poster of Jafar, just like this, just like very impressed. And I'd cut out the background and I'd put big block letters, "Don't do it," and just loaded this meme of me like this. And there was one person in particular that left a comment that was like, "Nah, man, this isn't the time to be gatekeeping. This is important information people need to know." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you don't. I'm sorry to say it, but because that was exactly what we were afraid of, right? That more people were going to do exactly what you did. But again, can't blame you. Like, you got to jump on lightning when it strikes, right? And, you know, things were not getting any cheaper, and there was every reason to hope that it was going to be an open event. So, but full marks for your preparation. But yeah, like, you're someone that has really, like, caught my eye since jumping on the scene. We actually first met in the final round of Swiss Set Championships. That was
one of the Brotherhood events.
Actually meeting, where that time I was lucky enough to win a die roll, and that seemed to be enough in that particular matchup. I remember it being quite swingy. I remember it was a banger for sure. But like, again, it was after that you were kind of everywhere. Like, I was seeing screenshots of stuff you were putting in Discord, and I obviously started following you on Twitter, so I was following along with like the data that you provide quite frequently, and like, I love that sort of stuff, and I know a lot of players do, and I feel like you have streamlined what I kind of started to attempt to do, because I used to do something called Ultra Data, but I would only release it like a week before a DLC, and I would look at the last sort of 6 weeks, events over 30 players, and just do the full meta breakdown, but go super deep. Like, I was sat there with a pen and paper and all the lists and marking off how many copies of each. I was trying. It would take a long time. I haven't done it for a while. It's another reason I'm glad that you've jumped in and you've streamlined it. But I know I super appreciate seeing that data. I know a lot of people do. Basically, I've seen a sign of someone just coming in and working really hard, and it's great to see you like start to again, I know that you've been seeing some results for a little while now with some of the third-party events, but again, they ain't nothing like competitive DLC season, right? So a great way to start that off for you. So that's going to take us into the next section, which is like the main event. But before we get to Bologna, I know that you were at Cardiff CCQ. So before we get to Bologna, can you talk a little bit about that event, what you played, how it went?
Yep, so I was feeling really good going into Cardiff CCQ. I was playing Tempo Blue-Purple with the Scrooges. I felt great. I was like, this list has been working well. Everything feels fine. I'm happy that like I should be the best deck. And my Cardiff run went terribly. I won my first round. I got a round 2 pairing into Ryan Walker, who 2-0'd me on green-blue. I was like, green-blue's really good into Blurple. Why aren't I playing it? I got paired into... That might have been my round 3, actually, after I got paired into the Mirror. Round 2 against David, who actually played green-purple with us at Bologna. So he 2-0'd me. He was on the second star version. It just... I think I might have missed ramp one of those games, and another game, like I never saw an Elsa or something. It was an awful morning. 0-2 Blurple, 0-2 green-blue. I got dogs round 4, and lost the die roll, lost game 1, won game 2, and then lost game 3 by just like I had 4 or 5 cards to dig to find one Elsa to win the game. I don't find it. I'm at 5 ink left. I have like a develop in my hand. I play the develop, and it's just 2 Elsa 5. And it was just like a heart-crushing moment where it's like, okay, the cards today said, no, not at all. Like, go home, try again. This is not it for you. And so that really was just like, okay, I can't have this be like my Bologna experience.
Mm-hmm.
It can just go wrong like that. Blurple has lines where it just loses into green-blue. I need something different. And by this point, Atlantis, who is part of my testing circle, had already brought up earlier in the month green-purple as just like she saw it, somebody playing it. She brought some of those ideas back. We talked about it. She like drafted a first list and quickly refined that into a second list that was very close to where we ended up, but it took us a while to get back to that second list. But we basically decided, all right, like let's see if green purple is real. And
Change of game plan, because I also know that obviously Jeremy, and you mentioned Ryan and Zam, but Zam wasn't in Cardiff, but they came over, and I know that Jeremy spent a lot of time with you. So that leads us on to the main event. So now that we have the seed, Atlantis had kind of discussed it with you guys a little bit, and from what you've just said, I imagine it was kind of only like a little bit of conversation. It took that run in Cardiff for you to go, okay, I need something. I need an edge here. What can we do? And at this point, it's a week until Bologna. So now talk us through that seed, how it became the list that we saw in Bologna. Talk about Bologna, and then we'll go from there.
So, right, the rest of Cardiff, I spent it testing green-blue. I spoke to a bunch of people who ended up being part of the testing circle that I put together before Bologna. And we go home from Cardiff. We get everybody on the Discord. Jeremy's staying with me for the week. I've taken the week off work. And we just go like, all right, let's start testing green-blue. Let's see if it's real. And that ended up becoming like 4 days, morning till evening, green-blue or green-purple prep.
Green-purple, yeah.
We woke up, we got some breakfast, we played games. And we started working on the list. We started figuring out what the matchup spread was. We started figuring out how to play the deck. There was a lot of learning there, and that like some of the things on how you play the deck are not necessarily obvious or intuitive, right? It took us a while to start figuring out that like into Blurple, you play turn 2 Chromicon and you just draw every turn of the game always. And you never stop tapping that card until you bend them. And then even then you usually start tapping it again. And so once we started working through those, the results were promising, but not every matchup was as good, right? There was a green-blue problem. We started trying to change the list to make green-blue less of a problem. We were playing Bobbies, we were playing Pull the Levers, we were playing Maleficent 3 costs, and the list was getting worse. And so we had a big crisis of confidence, like Wednesday. We were me and Bun got into like an argument about card selection for some cards that we didn't even end up playing, just arguing like whether they were theoretically good or not. And it was an underlying symptom of the fact that like we felt like we were close, but it wasn't quite coming together. And so, Jeremy went to bed Wednesday evening. I was like, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to rebuild the list one more time and I'll go to sleep afterwards. And so I put all the cards out in front of me. I like stripped back everything that wasn't like strictly essential to it and started putting cards back in, filled out the ratios, and ended up at 59 of the 60 cards in the list that we played for Bologna. And that was like it, right? We started testing it again on the Thursday, and it just felt good again. It felt like everything was going right. I think I decided at that point that I was probably going to end up the list. And then we did our travel Thursday. Friday, we met up with a bunch of UK players we got a conference room in Bologna City Center. We tested like 10 until 5. I played into a room full of people on different things. I won like 11 out of my 13 games, and it was going great. So I was like, all right, locking it in. We're going to go for this. And we only made one change. We were playing one Emerald Chromicon instead of the third bend. And that was like very helpful in like the first week of testing. The one Emerald Chromicon really let you start like questing into Blurple earlier, but it was kind of bad into a lot of your other matchups. And once you got the hang of the deck, you no longer needed it to win the Blurple matchup.
Right, okay.
And so what we wanted instead is we were always looking for that first bend, or even like the second bend if we'd found the first one. So like the night before the event, I was like, I'm cutting the third Chromicon, or the one Emerald Chromicon for the third bend. I think it's the play. Me and Bond locked that in. David kind of independently reached that opinion as well, and Jordan played like the stock list with the one Emerald Chromicon. And so the Bologna Run starts. I play my round 1. I get Amber Steel on the play, 2-0. This deck is like really fine into aggro. I think it's that point that like I go to the vendors, I buy Epic Cusco's and the one Enchanted English one they have of the Shift one. I spot you, I run up to you, and I'm like, Baker, look at this list that I'm on. It's awesome. I'm gonna win the DLC. Get me on screen. And then immediately like go to my round 2, and my round 2, it's like the first stumbling block of the event. I get Blurple. It's great. I win a 30-minute game 1. We go into game 2. And over the course of 30 minutes, I'm like winning the game, but I deck myself out. I've inked too many characters. And with like 2 minutes on the clock, I look at the cards I have in my hand, I look at the board state, and I look at how many cards I have left in deck. And I'm like, I have inked too many characters over the course of this game, and I can no longer present lethal with the cards I have left in my build. Because I was hunting for the third bend, and it was the bottom card in my deck. And so I had just been like, I've been inking, drawing, and I got there and I had way too much ink and not enough cards, and I was like, I've thrown this game and there's like nothing I could have done. I should have stopped earlier to prevent it, but I got maybe a little bit cocky and ended up walking out of round 2 with a draw, which under the current system with sort of 18 points required to advance to day 2 is basically just a loss.
Yeah.
A draw is extremely unpreferable. And then round 3, I got Purple Steel, and it was kind of close, but I lost it like 1-2 on the play. So like game 3, we couldn't find an Under the Sea, and he was just super wide. And so the day is now going badly, right? I'm 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw after 2 rounds. I got to win the whole day to get back through it. But then it starts happening, right? Like I win my round 4 and I'm like, okay, I'm still in it, right? Like 1 more for the Mulan. I win my round 5. All right, this is, I'm starting to pick up some 2-0s. The deck is doing what I want it to. I'm seeing some more Blurple. And I was like, all right, this isn't so bad now. I get my round like 6. By this point, it's like, okay, hang on. Like it's turning around a bit. It's going well. Round 7. I lose game 1 to Blurple, and then start like a grindy games 2 and 3, right? I start picking up a crowd at this point. Specky comes over, he's watching me. I've got like Zansayed and just people standing like all around me. They're watching me play. I guess an Italian competitor who went to Worlds. I don't know this at the time. This is something that one of the casters mentioned when I was rewatching my stream game.
Mm-hmm.
That my opponent in that round had been to Worlds, but I'm just sitting there sweating it, going like, I know I can win this 2 games, like games 2 and 3 into Blurple. It's the 100% matchup. And we do. We grind those out and we get there. And by that point, we're now 5-1-1. And I just need the win and in for the end of the day.
Score. Yeah.
Which the best part about that is I'm now on the bubble to win, and I'm playing the most interesting deck in the room. So
so
I'm feeling good. I'm
exactly.
Specky's been watching me. I had this whole crowd drawn, and I'm like, I can kind of feel it. Like I'm ready for this. Yeah. And so we go. I sit down at the table with my opponent, and the judge walks over, and he's like, "Hey, you guys have been selected for the feature match. Do you want to come play it?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. Get me over there. Like, let's go." And so, the reward for the gauntlet of playing back out from the 1-1-1 start is this, like, I'm at the end of the day, final match, and I get to go play it on stream.
What a story! Like, I have to pause you there for a second. Like, what a story, man! Like, that's the sort of things that we want to be telling. So again, I'm glad you let me know. I'm glad we were able to lay those seeds, but then more importantly, pay it off, right? Because sometimes I'll tease a deck and doesn't end up happening. I'm sorry, Jeremy. He's going to be mad at me forever for not getting on at Cardiff. Like, sometimes you try, it doesn't go your way, but so I'm glad that Spessy also was keeping an eye and was aware of what you were doing. And again, like, I don't know if they knew that you'd had that claw back, but again, like, that's super interesting to hear, because these are the sort of stories that we want to tell. And again, like, with every match, knowing that, like, even at that point where you're on the bubble, right, it could still have fallen apart at that last moment, but that was not the case. Do you have any comments on that stream game? Like, again, I would imagine that's, from Lorcana, your biggest audience for a feature match you've been in. I don't know what your experience is with feature matches at maybe third-party events, but I would imagine from Lorcana, that's your biggest so far.
Yep. So I've never, in all my time playing, I've never had like a big event feature match before. I did at the most recent Axiom event get to play Specky for my top 8 game. I lost to him, and then like round 2 on the Sunday, we get paired again, and I just like run over to the stream table. He's not there, and I'm like showing the chat my phone, and I'm like, "Look, it's me. I'm back." I got to win that one. So right, I was excited for it. I made like some small changes to the list overnight because I was like, "Okay, discard. It's hard." Right, green, purple, mirror. But this was my first like actual official stream game. Turns out like the third party prep before and just my general excitement for it. You know, a little bit of nerves sitting up there for the first time, but like I start playing. The game 1, like a perfect example of kind of what this deck does. I lose the die roll. We play like a 30-minute grind game, but I win on the draw. And, you know, that's kind of what I was doing all day, right? A lot of like 2-game sets, 30 minutes a game, winning 2-0 to like smooth out the thing. And so I went back and rewatched that game 1. Really great showcase. I think I might have missed like one Clarabelle trigger on the final turn of the game where I'm like, I won. It's just like, I'm waiting for my opponent to concede now. And so I missed the Clarabelle trigger because I'm no longer like, I'm like, not thinking about it. I'm like, I've won this game. He doesn't have a response. And then we go to the game 2. The game 2 is like a harder game. It doesn't quite go my way. I made some more mistakes. I'll still do like a proper VOD review of that, I think, at some point to upload. But I caught a few more issues, right? I caught some inking mistakes, some probably like 50-50s I made that were not 50-50s. I just made an improper choice. At one point, I did my turn, then I tapped the Chronicon, and the card off the top was bend. And I look at it on the stream, and I'm watching the VOD, and I feel like my heart sink watching it because I'm like, if I just tapped that at the start of this turn and played that bend, I win game 2. And so watching the stream, I'm like, I knew I had to feel that in that moment. I was like, oh, I know I have to know I messed up here.
It is the worst, but also most useful thing about being able to watch your games back in that matter, right? Because obviously, like for set championships, I always record my gameplay for content, and yeah, like I cringe at myself at least once a season. But ultimately, like identifying these things should be making you a better player in the long run, right? So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and it's a hard deck to play. That's kind of one of the things we learned, both testing it and in playing it on the day. I was like, I'm still making mistakes. I'm still not doing things fully correctly. I'm still learning about like how to mulligan this deck. Even today, I played it at set champs. Maybe I'll touch on that later. But then we get to go to like our Lightning Blitz round 3. I saw a lot of people saying stuff like, oh, the clock is inaccurate, or like, oh, it looks like they sped up the footage. The clock was 3 minutes slow because we had 3 minutes extra for being on the stream. But aside from that, the clock was accurate, and that was our actual play speed. So we're going into game 3, me and my opponent. We've got 10 minutes on the clock. We both know it, and we know that like a draw knocks us both out. And so it's not good enough for either one of us.
I'd have lost money here. Honestly, I would have lost money here.
I got a message. I'd already finished playing the game, but the stream was delayed. And I got a message from Ben, who's like, has seen game 2 end, and he's like, oh, I'm guessing this game ends in a draw. And I just don't respond to him. I'm like, I'm not going to tell him that I won, and I know I won.
Absolutely.
And
He'll be watching.
Exactly. I'm like, you'll find out. So we play this like super fast game 3. Really great on like my opponent. I've played under that scenario a handful of times. I play a lot of these slower decks. I have some people that I play with in my locals who just play like incredibly fast, and so I can kind of match that tempo. I'm a little bit comfortable in it. And, you know, thankfully my opponent was kind of able to do it as well, and we managed to get a whole actual game 3 that had taken us 30 and 20 minutes the first time in like 10 minutes. He conceded like as turn 0 was being called in our 3 minutes of extra time. It was down to the wire. But it was super fun getting to like rewatch that VOD. Caster did a great job. I sent it to my family who like don't really know anything about Lorcana. I posted their comments on it onto Twitter. People loved that. They loved it. They were like, this is awesome. The casters are doing a really great job of like building up the hype. They loved both of them and how enthusiastic they were about everything. And so it was like the best prize from all of this was getting that stream game. You know, the chat loved me. They were super on my side. Getting to rewatch the live chat in Twitch VOD, getting to see like people that I know in the chat typing, getting to see everyone like speculating on what's going on, and who's like who believed, who didn't believe, and I mean it was phenomenal. And so that was super great as like a first time on stream at a major event. It was more than I could have hoped that it was, right? Even if, I guess I'll talk to my day 2 in a second, but like that was the real prize. Was absolutely. That I got to show off this deck, winning like an on-the-draw matchup, show the full range of what it's like, and just get that kind of, you know, publicity and fanfare for something that we'd worked, you know, really hard on to get this deck into shape in time, and we were taking a gamble playing it, right? We didn't necessarily know 100% how it was going to perform in a room outside of our test circle, right? Whether we had biases that weren't coming through, whether we were over or underestimating how players would adapt to seeing the list, whether going on stream or not was going to like reduce our odds on the list in day 2 for people to potentially like find out about the list or know about it, right? A lot of my cards were shown in that game. And in one of the Discords I'm in, someone basically like tried to recreate the list and got within like, they got every card right, and the ratios were off by like 4 individual cards. And I was like, yeah, you pretty much nailed it, but I'll post it after the event. I just don't want to like put it up publicly while I'm still playing day 2, because that result got me to day 2. Along with 2 of the 3 other people who played it, right? So Jordan didn't make day 2, but Bun and David both also got 6-2s, and all 3 of us went ahead to day 2. David was first game on stream of day 2 on the deck. He didn't play quite an identical build, but he played a similar one. And then I kind of collapsed day 2. I got like green, blue, purple, steel on the draw all 3 times, 0-2s, all 3 of them. Like I lose the first one and I'm like, it's okay, I'm playing for 9-3. I lose the second one and I'm like, I'm playing for you know, like 8-3, 8-4. I lose the next one and I'm just like, I'm just playing for the experience at this point, the glory. And I get Amber Steel again in my final round. I win the dice roll, but I lose game 1. And then I win games 2 and 3. So after a 7-game losing streak at the start of day 2, it turned around like just a little bit at the end, and I got to finish like 7-4-1. And so it's a big turnaround from like where we were sitting at the end of day 1. But it was a great run. The deck was feeling good. There was still some like lessons to be learned, some improvements to be made, probably for those difficult matchups. But like in another day where I didn't deck myself out round 2, I got to see a little bit more Blurple, right? I might have been in the undefeated bracket. I can still see the world where I could have won the DLC.
Sure.
Had I not thrown it away in my round 2 and picked up the draw, just for like lack of experience, right? There's probably nobody in the world with more experience on this deck than I was in that moment, and I'm still sitting there making like kind of basic mistakes because I counted up and I had something like 79 paper games on this deck, like Monday to Friday in preparation for the event. And if I'd gotten like a clean 100, maybe that would have been enough. But as is, that's probably still something like, 30-ish hours of gameplay on the deck just to get it to where it was. And it's hard to be too harsh on myself for that.
Absolutely.
It went well, right?
It went very
by all
well.
accounts, it went really well.
Yeah, and something I've learned from my time casting is that the finals doesn't necessarily dictate the main event as far as the audience go. They will very much pick their own. And that's to take nothing away from the people that make finals and whoever's to go on to champion. That will always be in its own category almost. But yeah. I think every DLC has had, like, whether it was an underdog or just a winning in or whatever it is, like a match that the audience just resonate with. Like at Worlds, I would take Bivens Mo as a perfect example of, again, like, no disrespect to Ed or DKP, a fantastic finals and two of the best players in the game at this point. They've proved it. But Bivens Mo was the match that the audience emotionally attached themselves, I believe. And again, I think for you, again, you'll be known to the United Kingdom community, so I'm sure there's a lot of pride there, and we'll get to that. But to the larger scale, you're just another face in the crowd who's brought this incredibly spicy deck that has, like, had us, again, maybe they didn't know the ins and outs of just how you've had to claw your way to get to that position, but they know you're in a position, you are in a win and in position, which we can all understand the how heavy that is, and to play a deck like this is absolutely amazing. So as far as I was concerned, from what I've seen, and again, I'm sure you can imagine, I've watched the stream back 3 times, I've watched everyone's content where they've talked about it, it's just bred into who I am, and like from my perspective, like you were the main eventer of the weekend, and I'm super glad to see it happen for you, man. And again, to have your family who don't understand Lorcana at all still be able to share that with you is awesome. Again, like my mum doesn't understand how to play Lorcana, but she understands enough to be able to like enjoy it with me and be happy for my success and those sort of things. But what I want to get to now as well is kind of like to wrap up the main event section is like post-event deck evaluation. I'm sure there's been a lot of discussion with your testing group and just you internally as you're watching back the games. You said you played a set championship day today, and did you say you did play Green Blurple today? So that's more data. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the deck post? What were your immediate thoughts? Like, how was something like today's set championship maybe added to whatever you've got to say about that? But also, do you think this is a deck that will see heightened play in Milwaukee? Maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, because I think it's
a great way of putting it.
Okay, go on. Cool.
Because I think the deck is real in the sense that it wasn't like lightning in a bottle. The deck is really good at what it is tuned for, which is beating Blurple like 90% of the time. And it's got very good aggro matchups, Dogs and Amber Steel. Amber Steel in particular, I don't think I've lost a match on this deck into it, like at all. It's got a more difficult Green, Blue, and Purple Steel matchup. Mm-hmm. And coming out of the event, that was still, we kind of knew that going in. And coming out, it was the thing that also like broke my run. 2 losses to Green, Blue, 2 losses to Purple Steel. Both times I saw each deck would have kept me out of thing, like no matter what happened. So there are some holes in this list because of that, right? And so the tricky part is we don't necessarily know, like, if I had the perfect answer for it, maybe I'll win Milwaukee if I can find it. But at least at the time, we just couldn't quite solve the issue of the things we need to be good into Green Blue and the things we need to be good into Purple Steel don't necessarily align to each other. And there's just like this, like, where are the bits we can shave off and find new spaces for other cards, and what other cards should those be? So we're looking at other things like going back to the Maleficent 3 cost. We're looking at playing like more Stopped Chaos. Maybe the Monstro comes out to just like free up some other slot spaces. We're kind of trying a bit of all of these. I've got 3 more set champs, and I've got Milwaukee. before or at the end of that. And so, at least for my part, probably won't surprise anyone. I'm at least still going to be looking at this and trying to refine this because I think it's real, the deck, but I don't think that it's going to see a significant increase in play rate. For really like one or two big reasons. The big one, this deck is hard. This deck is super hard, and even all of us who've been testing it and playing it, everyone who we play with makes the exact same comment. We don't play it the same way as each other. We're all making like different micro decisions to the point that it's obvious to our opponents, which really tells me that it's like, this deck is hyper flexible. You need to be like super aware of what your potential draws be. You need to get your sequencing correct. And so I expect the vast majority of people who like pick up, play, and try this deck to either it's not going to work for them, they're not going to feel like they're getting it, or that it's doing what it's supposed to, or that it's like even good at all. And even the people who get it might not agree or see the same degree of success. I heard that like Zan and Jeremy did some testing, and like Zan was winning on Blurple into this, and they're kind of looking at it and they're going like, okay, this isn't like, it's not there, right?
This isn't what I ordered.
It's not as dominating.
I ordered beat Blurple.
Exactly. And other people can tell me as much feedback as they want on that. But in my mind, I'm like, I've dropped 2 games into Blurple in all of my actual match play between Bologna and since then at Set Champs, right? Like, the Italian Worlds player took a game off me, and one other player has taken a game off me out of like 5+ matches of Blurple, most of which are just like clean 2-0s. And so in my mind, it's an easy 80% into Blurple, and that makes it like far and away the best choice in the format. If that result is like, if you can reliably achieve that. And I don't know how many other people will be able to do that or are willing to invest the time required to see if that's actually true. So I could see the play rate of this deck doubling to 2% for Milwaukee from 1%. I don't think it's going to see like a big splash, and I don't think people are going to tech or prepare for it, nor do I think they should, because by all accounts, like, none of us made better than, like, we all did poorly on day 2, so like it never did make anything to top cut. I think it's the most reasonable assumption for most players is that like it was kind of a gimmick, it kind of worked, and we'll see how it goes. I did Set Champs today. I 2-0'd everybody except Purple Steel, which I lost to 0-2 in round 1 and 1-2 in the finals on the draw. So both losing games in the finals, I was like, this is going better. I've got this. I feel okay. And it just didn't come together in time. But, I got to be looking at more events now. I got to be deciding like, okay, do I further adjust for that? Is it like a gameplay thing? I got to reach the point where I am not reliably losing to Purple Steel on this list to consider taking it to Milwaukee for it to be real, because I think that's going to be a popular deck, and I really need to know that I have an edge into it if I think I'm going to try and win a DLC with this.
Sure. I have no doubt that it would be impossible to encapsulate exactly how you should play this deck in just a couple of minutes. I'm sure it needs reps and probably hours of conversation, but if there is anyone watching this right now, they've never tried this, but they go, this looks fun, I'd like to pick it up, even if it's just to have a jam a few games. What are some like really simple, just bullet point things to start with thinking about when you're loading this in?
Yep. So the more I play it, the more I think that this is like, green-blue is like a keep Clarabelle deck. This is not a keep Clarabelle deck. This is a 2-cost, 4-cost shift line deck where you're just looking to like continuously bounce your opponent's stuff off the board. You want to find that Gothel, that Kuzco. You want to get like a Sing, Under the Sea, or Stopped Chaos early. Buy yourself time to get to the big Clarabelle like the slow way. And then draw like 8 cards and hope you find a bend. Put all their stuff back in their hand and then go for it that way. Look for curve. look for like Rafiki. Into Ursula is great if you don't have the thing, the shift line. Hey Hey is good into the blue decks on the draw. Don't be afraid to like set up your singers like the Donald or the Chromicon, and into purple, draw. Less purple steel, to Blurple, draw all the time. Into green blue, keep their singers off the board. Into amber steel and dogs, sing away all their stuff, and then just like keep them off the board, keep punishing them. And into purple steel, play really well. Better than I am, because I still can't crack that reliably. That matchup is hard. I think this deck needs a card to like punish vanish characters, right? Sometimes they just like stick a Cobra on the board, and if our only option is to bounce it back to their hand, they're gaining 2 more lore, or they're questing it, or they have a 4/4 body to challenge our singers with. That's where I'll be trying things next. We'll see if maybe that helps crack the code on that, make the matchup a little bit better. But I published a free Metafy this week. That's just my matchup notes on this deck that I prepared for Bologna. Go check it out. Give it a read. I talk a lot about the important matchups. I talk a lot less about the aggro matchups because I just honestly think they're kind of easy on this deck. If you find like Rafiki into shift on 4, you just win those. My round 1 opponent, when I was on the draw, went like Daisy, Daisy, Lady Daisy. And they lost that game at like less than 10 lore. And so this is a deck that is just not scared of that. If you see like a kind of reasonable on the draw hand. So those are the big tips.
Sure.
Try it out. Be very thoughtful about which cards you ink and which cards you keep. Always consider that like you are trying to draw into shifts and songs. So, you know, you kind of want to go wide, play a lot of your characters, and then have the ability to do combo stuff. Don't be afraid to put a Hades back in your opponent's hands so they ramp you again, so that you can like end off with 11 ink and go, you're welcome plus bend, and just leave them with like no Hades, no cards.
I think I remember a turn that you did, which was one of my favorites that I saw. I think I'm getting it right. You might be able to remember. It was in the feature match that you played, where I think they had no hand, and you triggered 4 Chromicons, played your welcome to give them a total of 6 cards, and then just bent them away.
So you always do that, right? Like you make sure they have no hand. You hit the first bend. Then when you have the second one, you're like, cool. Do you want a whole bunch of cards? Just like say like bye. So
with each card they draw, just like, you're not letting me keep these, are you? Just like, no.
I have had some opponents start to like preemptively set their hands aside. Like,
I mean, and who can blame them? Like, you can imagine how annoying this probably is to face when it's like doing its thing like that. But that's awesome. I want to move us along away from the deck, but again, that link for your Metafy guide will be linked down below. But yeah, fascinating to talk about. The last thing that I want to talk about concerning Bologna is just, do you have any other overall comments about the event as a whole, whether they be positive or negative? One thing I would ask your opinion specifically about is pricing and format. I know that you talked a bit on Jeremy's Space on Twitter earlier on in the week a little bit about this, so that would be what I would ask specifically. But just any other comments you have about the event that you'd like to voice.
Yep. RPH obviously did not work very well. There were a lot of delays. Kind of didn't bother me too much. I'm used to like long grinding days. I spent the entire week in the lead up to this event playing morning until late in the evening, and so from an endurance perspective, kind of fine for me. But I appreciate that that's like not the case for everyone, and not an ideal situation. A lot of people have been much harsher on it, and you know, I'm not saying that any of their critiques are invalid or I disagree with them. It just didn't bother me too badly.
Sure.
Format wise, I am a huge best of two game format defender. I think 2-game format was great. I think it should come back. I think we should have tried to improve it instead of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. My number 1 suggestion on this is 2-game format, but with open ink colors. So you're not like, if you lose the die roll and you're going second in your first of 2 games, you at least have an idea what you're trying to mulligan for. That would have been really great in like pre-rotation set where there were multiple deck lists for each of the most popular colors, right? There was red, blue items and shark. There was Diggy Diggy Hole and Steel Song, green, purple discard and tempo. right? Like there was all kinds of variety there, and I think that would have done a great job in trying to make that like balanced. I think 2-game format is much better for like play draw disparity. I think it forces you to deck build in like interesting and important ways. And I would love to see it return, even though I have like really low hopes that that'll actually happen. I think people on the whole really like best of 3, and that's fine. I guess I'm not going to die on this hill.
And then, yeah, quite specifically pricing. What are your thoughts on
Yep. So I think the pricing, I think that, you know, big miss with the Mulan and the Simba being significantly less playable cards than the Cinderella and the Let It Go of last year's season. So there's a little bit of disappointment in that for me. Although Pegasus is great, beautiful card
Best
as
one,
an entry
in my opinion,
promo,
best
like
one.
super happy for that. Although the Dragonfire was also like a pretty great entry promo. But so yeah, I think the Let It Go much nicer than the Mulan. Surprisingly, is like the kind of equivalent there. Although the Mulan's super diluted, like given out for the Infinity event, given out for everyone who got 3 wins. So there's just a lot of those. The Simba, just not that great of a card, unfortunately, compared to like even the Shift Cinderella is, well, not like a super playable card, just a kind of cool card.
Yeah.
So as nice as like the Simba looks, even the Elsa, right? Compared to like Rapunzel in season 1, the Elsa they chose it's a great character choice, but it's not like the best. Imagine if that had been like Shift Set 1 Elsa. I obviously they want to pick newer cards from the sets. They want to do stuff like that, but it could have also been like Elsa 5 cost. That would have been insane as a choice.
Sure. I think it's hard
like,
to compete with Rapunzel. I think that's probably going to be. We're going to look back at that as an all-timer in a few years' time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. But the pricing overall, kind of not so bad. If you went 9-3 and you made day 2, you got 3,000 extra tickets, which basically got you one of the playmats. That I think is very respectable as like a prize for the people who bubbled out and did not get a Simba or made top cut. There's also just the non-foil promos available for the trade-in. I really like that they brought the Dragonfire and the Let It Go available as non-foil promos. I guess with only so many DLCs in this season, the prizes that they've chosen, they'll have like another chance to do new ones for the next DLC season when we get there. And so, you know, get them while you can. They should hopefully hold some value from the thing. They're still mostly fine overall.
And who knows, by Continental, again, this isn't confirmed, and if I knew, I wouldn't be talking about it on the channel, but last year for Europe, we got the Baymax and the Kuzco as new ones added in for that, so hopefully something very similar
Probably
happens.
gets similar, yeah.
But overall, I'm super glad that you had a really good run for many reasons. Again, sounds like you were able to get some cool prizes, which hopefully contributed towards compensating your trip overall. And again, just your experience. Again, super glad for your man to have had that. But I have no doubt that all it's done is make you hungry for more. And that is the right attitude if you're going to get anywhere with this game. So I'm sure it's not the last time we'll be talking about you. But as we're coming close to the end of the hour, there's a couple of things I want to get in. The last of which will just be final thoughts and shout outs and thank yous and plugs. But I want to do something fun while I've got you here, Justice. You told a story at the beginning that you're quite an experienced TCG player anyway. So I imagine that was a big appeal to getting into Lorcana, just the TCG competitive strategy aspect. But we're going to get a little insight into your love of Disney in general as we're going to play a game called Glimmer Island, which I've played before on the channel a couple of times. Steve Warner was the first one to ever do this, and then DKP did it, and now we're doing it here with you, Justice. So the way this works, you are going to be stuck on a quote-unquote desert island, all right? And that desert island is going to be any location card in Lorcana. It has to have a card form, okay? And you've got to spend a week there. And with you, you can have any Lorcana Glimmer you want, any character you like, any Lorcana item, and any Lorcana song is going to be printed onto a record player. Then that can be your music to relax, to party, whatever it is. The only rule to add in to make clear, the Glimmer that you choose, the character, it can do all of the things that you would expect that Glimmer to be able to do, except help you escape the island. There's no escape in whatever order you think most appropriate. Where are you going to be? Who's with you? What item have you got with you? And what tunes are on?
So, thankfully, I'm not trying to escape where I am. My choice for location was Treasure Mountain, the Azurite Sea Island. Set 6. I'm a big Treasure Planet fan. Probably would be my pick for like one of my favorite Disney movies.
Good man.
And so I was like, you know what? I got a week lock-in. I want to go exploring Treasure Mountain.
Oh.
And so I got to pick someone to do that with. I didn't want to double down on Treasure Planet. Instead, I picked, another childhood favorite, another guy I think I'd get on great with, Milo Thatch. So
nice choice.
The spirited scholar. So
he's going to be so excited. He's going to be so excited.
We're gonna geek out. We're gonna explore the treasure island, and we're gonna go see what we can find. And I went for a practical choice for my item, the gumbo pot. Card art for that. It's a bunch of magic ingredients flowing into this pot. It looks delicious. I'm going to assume that it kind of continuously tops up with new food stuff.
Yes.
And so I'm like, great, right? We're going to explore the treasure island. We're going to be fed the whole time. It's like a drink and a food all in one. And so, great food, great company, something to do. And my song to round it all off is We Don't Talk About Bruno. Since getting into Lorcana, I haven't seen that many new Disney movies prior to starting to play, or that many since. But somebody told me someday, they were like, have you heard the song for We Don't Talk About Bruno? It's really good. So I went and listened to it, and it was really good. And then I went and listened to some of the other songs from Encanto, and I was like, these are all really good. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, this movie is phenomenal. I can't believe I hadn't seen this. I texted my mom. She was like, she loves movies. I was like, Mom, you got to watch this Disney movie. It's new, but it's really good. The songs are great. And there you go. That's my choice for
Okay, so we have Justice and the scholar Milo Thatch exploring Treasure Mountain with your Philly Gumbo, and We Don't Talk About Bruno on in the background. Sounds like an incredible way to spend a week away. Justice, thank you for your time. Time is the most valuable resource that we have on the planet, so I thank you for giving us some of yours. I'd like to end off on any final thoughts, and that can be to do with the deck, your run, anything to do with the Lorcana community, and then indeed any shout-outs, plugs, or thank yous to the Lorcana community and beyond.
Yep, so the season 2 is only just started. I've got big goals. I'm gonna go to Milwaukee. I'm gonna try and attend every DLC that I can. So we're gonna try and win those. Go back to Continentals. Maybe make it to Worlds this time. Shout outs wise, my test circle for prep for this event. Atlantis, Bun, Jordan, David, Jeremy, all get huge shout outs, as well as Will and Reese and Alphos. So a big group effort on that. Huge success for everyone. We'll talk sometime later about organizing a UK testing circle, trying to raise our national level of play. So look forward to that, everybody. And you can find me on Twitter. That's where I do all of my biggest posting. I'm a player first, and when it comes to content and stuff that I publish, I just make the things that I would like to see and then share them out there for other people to see. You can also find me on YouTube. It's LorcanaJustice on both. And check out the green purple guide I published for free for this deck. Explains everything that I wrote down going into Bologna. It was my testing notes for everyone else who was going to play the deck. And so I had something like a couple thousand words written about how to play it already and all the matchup guides, but at the time I even landed in Italy. And so I was like, okay, I can put that together now, answer everybody's questions about how to do it. So check it out. Give me a follow. If you see me at any of these events internationally, come and say hi and introduce yourself.
You're going to be signing some Kuzgos this year, I think, my guy.
I hope.
I think that's going to happen. And that is it. A humongous thank you to Justice for coming on. I really hope you enjoyed that, because I really enjoyed obviously doing it live, but even just listening back to it, I think Justice is a really good player, a super nice guy. I learned a lot throughout this. I'd love to know your thoughts down below on this deck. Are you tempted to try it out? Do you think we'll see much of it in DLC Milwaukee? I'll hear it all down below, but that's going to be it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana. Hit that like button to show your support, and we'll see you soon.